I was watching a recent episode of Q&A, and the notion of respecting other people's opinions was thrown around a lot that night. The episode had the likes of physicist Professor Brian Cox face off with newly elected Senator and albino gremlin Malcolm Roberts on the issue of climate change. Now I already talked about Roberts in my last video a bit, and I'm not going to tear into poor old Smeagol again, but if you haven't seen that or that episode of Q&A, all I need to say is imagine what you think are some of the most absurd things a climate science denier would say, and now think of something several times more wild. Odds are Roberts has already said it. I found Q&A incredibly frustrating that night. Not for the unfunny tweets appearing on the screen, not for having a Labour and Liberal MP do nothing but criticise the other and boast about their own platforms, nor was it even the fact that Roberts was telling Cox that he was wrong about literally everything. What annoyed me more than anything is that when this was all happening, variations of the phrase, "I respect your opinion," was thrown around a lot. I always felt a particular way towards this phrase, and watching this episode really just vindicated my position. And this is targeted more so at politicians and other public figures, but really it applies to everyone. Why the hell do we have to respect some people's opinions? Now don't get me wrong, I believe in freedom of speech and I believe everyone has the right to their own opinion, but why do we need to respect some of them? In a free and equal society, everyone has the right to say what they think as well as be able to think freely. This is kind of key for a liberal democracy. But in no way does that give any opinion any sort of credibility, and respect for opinions should be based on their credibility. Now if I asked you which do you think tastes better, a tablespoon of sugar or a plate of spinach, then I'm asking you for your opinion. The answer is subjective, and although most people would probably answer one way, there is no objective answer. It is entirely your opinion. But if I were to ask you which has more nutritional value, then I'm not asking you for your opinion. I'm asking you for a statement of fact. I couldn't care less about how good it tastes. If you believe that the sugar is nutritionally better for whatever reason, you have a right to think that. But you're either 5 years old or you're wrong, and I'm sorry, but I don't feel like I need to give that opinion any respect. On a more relevant matter, if someone who is not an actual scientist believes that NASA, the CSIRO, the Australian Bureau of Meteorology, and many more are all fabricating the evidence of climate change, then they can say that, but my response to such a statement won't be, "I respect your opinion." It'll probably be more like, "Shut the fuck up, you're insane." If someone tells you that they genuinely believe that humans descended from flying spaghetti monsters, they have the right to think that, but that opinion has no place in our schools. Evolution is not a wild theory, it's a fact now. We have all the evidence in the world about our ancestors. Literally, the evidence is everywhere you look. The verdict is in. The same point extends to those that believe in creation. If that's what you believe, fine, have your absurd and archaic belief. But if you want to be part of the conversation on what should be taught in schools, then I don't feel like such a belief deserves any respect. Before I go any further, you may be thinking, what exactly is the point of all this? The point that I'm trying to get to is that you can have whatever opinion you want, no matter how absurd. But they are not all of a sudden immune to criticism because we have to respect them. This is dangerous because when people think they're immune to criticism because we have to respect their opinion, then people can say stupid things which can have negative repercussions. This is especially dangerous when politicians have wild beliefs, like climate change isn't real, because bad decisions could contribute to, for example, the death of the planet. This doesn't stop at people like politicians and topics like climate change, however. Celebrities and their outlandish beliefs are in some regards more dangerous because they can be very influential on how people shape their own lives and those around them. Celebrities are often idolized. What they say, do, and think can be held in high regards, normally because the average Joe wants to be like their idol. But if a celebrity is spouting some nonsense, instead of respecting their opinion, we should call them out and tell everyone how stupid it really is. Like if you believe that negativity changes the structure of water and that molecules behave differently depending on the words or music being expressed around it, then believe in your fancy schmancy chakra hippie loving clearly LSD induced hypothesis. But considering there is no credible evidence anywhere to suggest that any of this is true, anyone with the most basic understandings of chemistry or physics can see why this is ridiculous. And instead of respecting whoever has such absurd opinions, we label them with what best represents said belief. If someone believes that a paleo diet is something good to give to your children, that people don't need to eat grains and that eating similar foods to that of a caveman prevents autism, cool. But when you're a renowned chef sharing this to a wide audience, such ludicrous opinions need to be publicly condemned. If you think that fluoride should be taken out of the water and cite the UK as a successful example of drinking water without it, yeah, that's right, Great Britain, then maybe you should look past your own perfect set of pearly whites, which probably a result of lucky genetics, or more likely you've had work done, and shut up and listen to the experts. If you think that sunscreen is full of poisonous chemicals, that it doesn't protect you from the sun, and that you instead use surf mud, Something not approved by the Therapeutic Goods Association, and on Surfmud's own website they say we can't make any claims about its sunscreen efficacy or water resistance. Fine, but when other people's lives are at stake, such opinions need not to be shared, or if they are, called out for what they really are. If someone falls under any of these categories, then that person should be collectively and publicly criticized and then removed from the conversation entirely. But you know who's mostly at fault for all this? The media. Because when one of these geniuses that somehow knows something more about the world than the actual experts do, the media feels obliged to share it. And when they do, they don't warn people about the dangers or critique what these 21st century Einsteins think. They give them a platform. And then maybe they'll end their segment with an extremely brief caution. God, can you imagine if one of these people had several of these beliefs and a TV show on a major network, and they weren't removed from being on that major television network? Because by not doing so, that person's dangerous beliefs are not taken seriously, and could arguably be given some merit, which could then result in serious damage to the lives of ordinary citizens. But hey, this is just my opinion.